welcome back to another stream. And this is a stream that I've been looking forward to doing for quite a long time, and it's finally able to happen. So I've got some radio updates for you. I've got a few little and if you if you watch this after the live, or you tune in while it's live, and you're thinking, what the hell is this? Like what the hell do you mean by radio updates? Well, for those of you who are living under a rock, I sort of kept like a really big sort of surprise and secret from sort of like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I've actually gone on a course and actually done a broadcasting course for FM radio. So essentially, I'm now trained up and I've got the skills to broadcast to a live FM radio station in a radio station studio. So I did like a training course, which it didn't take that long, to be honest. And the course itself sort of varies on how good or sort of quickly you sort of like pick it up. And it's just sort of learning about using the system and sort of learning to sort of get that broadcasting voice on radio. It's a lot different to me doing these streams here. Although me doing these streams here has probably helped with like talking confidence, but you've got to sort of limit when you talk, and obviously I I can ramble on in these streams. So anyway, so I did my radio training, and then everything kind of just went a little bit dark, and everything went a little bit blank, and there was kind of like nothing, and there was no more sort of like anything about radio. Nothing was kind of really said, and a few people have sort of said, like, are you still doing the radio? You're still doing this radio thing? Because it was quite a big thing that got like sort of hyped up, and then I announced it, and it was absolutely, it was something quite big. It hit loads of comments on Facebook when I initially first put the post up and announced that I was going to be joining Hull Kingston Radio. So anyway, so to cut the story short, there was a couple of things that went on behind the scenes, which just meant I couldn't go into the building without the station manager being there, because you've got to have these like special sort of like, you've got to have a special like code to get into like a cart wall where you sort of organise and design your show, and he just wasn't available to be in to help me do that. So that was one of the reasons. Then the second reason was my good friend the layman. He was supposed to sort of like sort of help me sort of get set up for my own show, and then we just got so busy that he now no longer does his show on a Saturday. He's now moved it to a different day just recently, and we just didn't have the time, to go in and sort it, and it was just sort of like to the point where he had to move his day, so he could still do a radio show, and that got sorted. And then sadly, some of the equipment went down in the main broadcasting studio. So the studio where I did my training, which is it's a non-on air, so it's like not a live station, if you like. So it's not normally used for actually going live to the station itself. It's normally used for the pre-records, and it's normally used for like people training and stuff. But at the moment, because the other studio's actually down, it's being used as the main broadcasting studio. So people who are sort of doing these regular shows that already sort of have them all set up and know what they're doing, they can just come in and broadcast. The other studio is kind of really a little bit dead. So I went into the radio the other day. I went yesterday. I went Wednesday yesterday, just to initially sort of like get the ball rolling, and just sort of see what the score is. And I'm going to be starting my show very, very soon. And we've been in some talks about what the kind of show is going to be, and we've come up with a name called Rewind. So it's going to be a show called Rewind, and it's going to be sort of going back in time to like certain years, and sort of playing the number ones and the biggest tunes sort of from that year. So I'm thinking that each show, I'm obviously going to pick a different year, And then what I'm probably going to do, I'm not totally certain yet, but I've been sort of thinking as an idea, is at the beginning of the show, I'm not going to tell the viewers what the year is, and then I'm going to play sort of like through the show, and then people can obviously, Twitter in, they can tweet in, they could obviously, come onto the Facebook page, and if they're listening in, and then they sort of make out or they recognise and they guess what the year is, I'll just sort of say like halfway through the show, have you guessed the year yet? It's 2004. Yes, that is right. If you got it right, as they tweeted in on Twitter, the year was 2004. And then I'll do some information about that year as well. Maybe do a little bit of information on maybe some of the bands or some of the songs I'm going to be playing. And then the next show would obviously be another year. So we'd pick another year. And it could be a little, it could be some like moderner years. It could be some older years. I think my limit, I was going to go back to 1980. I think anywhere from 1980 upwards was where I was going to sort of like take things, if that makes sense. I think if I go too far, like, back into the 70s, it's just going a little bit too far back. So I think for me, I'm going to go sort of like 80s. So there'll be like 80s disco, there'll be 80s dance, 90s dance. Then there'll be, like R&B and stuff like that. And, the commercial sort of top 40 tunes maybe through the 2000s, if we're picking a year from there. And it'll just be a case of, sort of maybe guessing the year. I mean, certain songs you might be able to sort of guess the era. So, for example, if we played, say, something, say I picked a year in the 80s, I might play a Pacific song and someone might go, that was an 80s tune, but they might just not know the specific year in the 80s. So, there'll be like clues and things along the way, and I'll be giving out little hints. I'll be reading out some bits of information about that year, a little bit of information about maybe some bands that year or some of the songs I'm going to be playing, and I won't necessarily say who the who the band is by. What the song, who did the song, and then I'll just give a little bit of information. So I'll say I'm going to play a song by a band that had this X amount of number ones. They performed live to a sold out such and such in release release so many something. That's coming up, and then we'll play it, and then did you guess it? Yes, that's right. It is. It's Dangerous Dave, and it's On the Edge. Do you know what I mean? Just as an example. So the good news is that there is going to be radio coming. And I'm very pleased. I'm looking forward to getting behind the broadcasting desk and really getting my teeth into commercial radio. And it's just going to be so fun, and each show's going to be sort of like different but the same, if you like. So same format, just a different year, lots of great different music, lots of different styles, from sort of like dance to sort of like R&B to to disco to maybe a bit of rock, and just a bit of everything, just stuff over the years that would have been played on radio over the years. And obviously just picking some absolutely fantastic years. And each show is going to be different as well. And not just by the year. So what I mean is, so say for example, if one year I did 1986, the next year I won't do like 1985. Do you know what I mean? I'd probably go to something like 2001 or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So I won't just necessarily go and do like 3 shows in a row that are all going to be in the 80s. It'll sort of change up a bit. So it might be, one show might be 1986, then we might go 2001, and then we might go 2013, and then might go 1992, then we might go 1984, and then we might go back to 2009. Or something like that, and play something, play some big tunes, possibly from that year. So I'm looking forward to it. There's radio updates coming, which I'm very pleased about. as opposed to like the day that the it's going to be on air. I think we was possibly aiming for about doing a show about 3 times a week. So that's going to be quite interesting. Um, obviously we'll be talking and working some things out. But it's going to be really enjoyable, and I'm really looking forward to getting on the airwaves and really giving it a good go. And it's it should be just something so fun, something just absolutely amazing to do. And I just can't wait for it. I just cannot wait for it. It's just going to be something so good that I just, cannot wait to get my teeth into it, really, which is really, really good. And, it's another thing under the belt. It's another music thing that I just cannot wait to do. And yeah, I was so buzzed through the training, so I can't wait to go back because it feels like forever since I've actually been on air and stuff like that. I did go on air once, for those of you who didn't know, and I did a show called The Midday Connection. It's actually now called The Communities Connection. And it's just a show that you do during the training, essentially. It's just a show for training, and then when they put someone new on air, they just run this show. It's not an actual show itself. It's just a show that is mainly built for the training. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and it should be absolutely fantastic. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait to do it, and I'm just so looking forward to it. So I'm gonna be starting soon, and when I get a little bit more information on when I'm gonna be starting, I think it's gonna be within like the next month or so. So probably sort of like maybe mid to late July, if not early August. But I'll be coming on sort of like towards midsummer. I would imagine. So I can't wait. It's going to be so exciting. Going to be live, for the first time on commercial radio. Well, apart from that Communities Connection show I did, which I enjoyed it. It was a really um, but yeah, there we go. So I thought I'd come live, give you a few updates on the old radio. Don't forget, I've got upcoming gigs. You can watch the previous streams to find out where I'm going to be playing, and keep yourself updated. Make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to share. Peace out, people. Enjoy yourselves. Have a good night. Don't be too warm. I tell you what, before we do go, I was so warm last night. I was just so warm last night. It was unbelievable. It was scorching. I just could not get myself settled. And I just, when you're just too warm and it just feels like whatever you do just does not solve it. And we've got like a little issue at the moment where we've got like something wrong with our boiler and our radiators don't turn off properly. So it's like they don't fully turn off, so there's just like a real little bit of heat still kicking out from them. And when it's so warm, like there's just absolutely like you just can't get yourself comfy. And then we can't open our windows fully because we've got a tiny kitten, you see. And it's at the stage now where it's kind of like it wants to go out, but it's a bit too young to go out. My window goes straight onto a little flat roof, and my window's like it's a real low down window where you could like if you're on my bed you can just easily climb out the window. So the cat would climb out and go onto the roof. So like the only way to have the window like wide open is to shut the bedroom door like it's shut now, but it still makes it incredibly warm. And then you put a fan on, and a fan does help, but it only helps like at the situation, like at the moment in time. So like while the fan's on, it's helping, but then as soon as you turn the fan back off, like it's almost just like it just goes back to how it was before you put the fan on. But yeah, about 2:30, I got up and jumped in a cold shower just because I was that warm. And then it was all right while I was in the shower. And then as soon as I got back out the shower, it was just as if I hadn't even been in the shower. It was, the heat just came back up. It was just so crazy. If anybody has any like sort of keeping cool techniques that you found of like worked for you, then drop them down in the comments. I mean, there's quite a few. I mean, you could sort of lay with a cold flannel on your face. Again, you can sort of like sleep more or less in the nuddy. You can sleep without the duvet over you. You can sleep with a window open. Sleep with a fan on. All them things. But is there anything that people like have really sort of like anything different that anybody's done that would have obviously that helps them, keeps them a bit cooler? Because this room is very small in itself, so a little box room gets very warm in itself anyway. So but if anyone's got any sort of ideas or any tips on how they keep cool, then just drop them down in the comments, because even right now, I'm actually quite warm as it is, to be honest with you. It just feels like there's no air anywhere. It's just absolutely crazy. It's like mental. Like last night, I wanted to just take my pillow and duvet and actually lay on the flat roof itself. But then I thought no, because you don't know, sort of like birds flying about, and a lot of birds land on flat roofs, and it's a little bit mucky on the roof as well. But when you just think like, oh, I could just lay there, look up at the stars, and just relax and just doze off, and it's a little bit cooler out there. But even then, it's not like mega cold out there. So yeah, if anyone's got any tips, let me know. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Whoever gave me the like as well, big respect. Boom.